Everyone has a fabulous story to tell, a life event, a lesson they have learnt along the way, or even a small moment that has changed how they live their lives. Memoirs and life stories can help you capture those stories or life events for prosperity, for your memories, or for sharing with others. There are many ways you can approach writing your own life story. But first, let's talk about why you can and should write down your life story. The first thing most people think about when they hear the word memoir is an autobiography about a famous celebrity or well-known person. These life stories can be fascinating to read, as their lives may seem so out of the ordinary and somehow very different from the lives we are living. However, if you listen to the stories that weave through these memoirs, they have very similar threads running through them. The threads of people's stories are always similar in nature, no matter who you are and what you have experienced in life. The threads of love, challenges, lessons learnt, people lost, these and many more are the experiences that make up life. And your life, your stories, are as important to you, your family, and others as well. So why do you want to write your life story? The answer to this question will greatly influence how you write and what content you add to your memoir. Do you want a chronicle of your life? Do you want to write about certain aspects or moments in your life? Do you want your journey to inform and help others? There are no right or wrong answers to this question, but you will write your story very differently if you want to write your memoir for yourself or if you want to share it with others. So knowing the answer to this question will help you a great deal at the beginning and as you go through this journey of writing about your life. Writing out what could amount to an entire book about your life will probably feel quite overwhelming. Once you know why you are writing, then it is time to decide what are you going to include. Just start somewhere, or at an event, time or place, and write down some notes, because starting can be the hardest part. Where do you start? Of course, that depends on what your end goal is. But if you don't know what your end goal is and you want to put pen to paper, then one of the best ways to decide what to start with is at the beginning. This can be at the beginning of you, for example, if you were going to write chronologically. Actually, I had one person start earlier than that and started with their parents, and it was a fascinating story. Or if you are going to write about a specific time in your life, then start when those integral moments started to come into your life. For example, if you're going to write about your journey trekking across Europe, then start when you arrived at your first destination. Don't forget, there are no hard and fast rules when you're writing your own life story. You can go back and forward, for example, when you were trekking across Europe and you arrive at the first night's motel. You can go back in time and recall how you were sitting at home and searching the internet for accommodation with your best friend and how they saw you off at the airport. Writing can feel daunting. Remember, you don't have to write your entire life story in a week. It will take time. It may even take a lot longer than you anticipated. That is okay. It is supposed to be a joyous and self-discovery journey, and that takes time. Some people decide to write everything down first and then organize later. How much detail should you add to your life story? Once again, it is up to you. Many people want to add just enough to get the message across. Others like to go into great detail. There is no right or wrong answer here. Once again, your reason why you are writing will also impact on how much detail you add to your life story events. For example, if you are writing for yourself, then whatever you put in is entirely up to you. If you are writing for other people to read or for publication, then you may want to adhere to some guidelines. If you are writing with publication in mind, my best advice to you would be to read some books in the biography genre and see how they are written, and do some research with some specific publishers and check out their guidelines. Having said that, this can also be a great procrastination tool and stop you from writing your story your own way. So perhaps you can write your story and then go and have a look at the publishers and see which suits you best. For example, if you are writing your life story and it reads like a straight biography, you will submit to a different publisher than if, as you write your story and it reads more like a transformative biography. When we think of life stories, we generally tend to think of big, impactful moments in our lives. These moments can have great ramifications in our lives and also on our emotional and mental well-being. Please make sure you look after your mental and emotional health as you go about writing your personal journey into a life story. Some of these stories will bring up great and strong emotions, some good and some bad. If at any time you feel overwhelmed, then stop and take care of yourself. Come back at a later date if you need to, and as always, please get help when you need it. Writing these big moments into our life journey can allow you to share fabulous insight, both to yourself and to others. Use these emotions and write them into your story. After all, it's the emotions that can help create an understanding for yourself and others. To write emotion into your story, try and use all your senses to describe what has happened or happened. Use emotive words and tell the reader or yourself how you are feeling. The big moments in our lives are important, but so are the smaller moments, and it is these that can make a huge difference. Adding these into your story will add great depth and body to your life story. Funnily enough, sometimes the small moments turn into a lasting memory, such as the rock given to you from your son when he was 2, when you still carry it around in a handbag. There will be difficult moments that will probably need to be written about, and as you go on this journey to write about your memoirs, dealing with this difficult content will bring up strong emotion. If you feel comfortable, then share as much of yourself in your writing as you can. This way, you convey your future self, your family, or your readers the truth of how you were, how you coped, and how you grew through this difficult moment in your life. It is up to you how much emotion you put in, because it can feel very raw and vulnerable to do so. Small tip is not to think about who will read this book while writing such moments, as it will censor what you write. You can always go back and edit if you don't feel comfortable. Amazing growth can happen when we write in vulnerability and authenticity. And as we write our stories, there are other players that weave in and out of our lives. Some will be remembered and written in a favourable light, and others not so much. And this is where it can get tricky for many people. They worry about hurting others' feelings, which is totally an appropriate and kind thing to do. How much do you mention, and do you name names? It is a difficult question. If you are writing purely for yourself, then write down everything you want and feel comfortable doing so. If you are writing for others to see, then only you can answer that question, though it is a very difficult one. If you are wanting to write for publication, then the publishing company, once you are contracted, may be able to assist you with this. If in doubt, you can always edit it out. It may also put your mind to rest to seek legal advice as well if you are concerned about this aspect of it. When you write down your version and recollections of your life story, it is quite common for another person to question your version of events. This is completely normal, as another person will see even the same event in a different light. Just because another sees it differently does not make your version incorrect. Always write to the best of your recollection and be honest and truthful with yourself. If you do not fully remember an event, it is okay to note that as well. Writing for yourself can be difficult, and assisting another person write their story can be as equally difficult. Why would you help another person write their own life story? For many people, it is usually as a loved one becomes ill or elderly that they realize how invaluable their life stories are, and they want to help their loved one to capture the pivotal moments in their lives. There are many ways you can help another write their life story, no matter the situation. One of the most popular ways is to voice record and then transcribe the conversation. This is a fabulous idea if the person you're helping is ill, elderly, or their writing isn't so great. One of the difficulties that can come up if you are listening to your loved one talk about truly emotive events, moments, or difficult times in their lives. Please remember, it is going to be emotional for everyone, but the main focus should be on the person whose life you are speaking about. On the other hand, they may also seem emotionless to you. This doesn't mean that they are. Those emotions may just be under the surface and they are unwilling to demonstrate them. Meet them where they are at emotionally. If you need to leave to look after your own mental well-being, please leave the recorder there so the other person can still talk out their emotions and story. Have a series of open-ended questions can help you bring out the stories that are important in a memoir. as can using photos to open up conversation. Once you have asked a question, it can be best not to fill the silence and be patient. Trying not to judge or refute the stories your loved one is communicating can also be very difficult for the listener. Try to remember this is their journey, their story, and your story may be very different indeed, even if it is about the same event. Once you collate all the information from either your life story or the story of another, then what do you do with them? Firstly, put them in some sort of manageable order, whether that be chronologically, via chapter, or via event. If you want to add photos and captions to any part of the story to add depth and better understanding, then have all of those in the same folder on your computer or in a safe place physically, and keep all of your information together. What you do with it now depends on your why. Your why will determine what the next step is. If you want to record just for yourself, then it's a great idea to get the story with any other photos and captions you want in the story, to get it professionally printed as a keepsake. After all, even if it is just for you, you have put in a great deal of effort and emotion to create this wonderful life story. If you are comfortable in sharing your story with others, then get a copy of the book printed to share with those who will be able to share in your journey. If your why included publication, then collate all your information. Do some research into the publishing companies you want to approach. Whichever company you do approach will have specific instructions on their process for submitting manuscripts for their company. Publishing can be a difficult business, and do not be discouraged if you have to try a few times for the book to be seen by a publisher. There are many reasons why a publisher says no, and many of them do not have anything to do with your life story. Writing your life story and your memoir is a long journey, one of self-discovery, strong emotions, and great insights. Always take care of your mental health while doing this, and enjoy the journey. Thank you for reading and joining me, and blessed be to you all.